Hi, this is Aaron Wilson from KPRC2 Sports. Texans nickel Jalen Pitre is eligible for a contract extension. I had a chance to discuss his hopes for a long-term deal while he was at a school assembly over at Bang Elementary School as part of the Pass the Star program. That's in conjunction with Texas Children's Hospital, and he was joined by Toro, and the kids were very happy to see Jalen, who is a hometown hero, a guy that grew up here, has played all of his football in the state of Texas, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year at Baylor, and an all-district performer at Stafford High School. So what Jalen hopes to do is to sign a long-term deal, and there's mutual interest per sources on both sides on extending this business relationship. So where things stand right now between the Texans and Jalen, no deal imminent, and dialogue will continue, and I would expect them to just keep talking. It's a good relationship between Jalen and the Texans, and just see where it goes. I don't like to make predictions on things I'm not involved in, which includes contract negotiations. But I want to talk a little bit about what Jalen had to say, and also kind of the complex nature of the position he plays and finding the proper valuation, meaning how much money he'll be paid ultimately either by the Texans or should he go to free agency at some point. So he is in the final year of his rookie contract, and he's eligible for a deal, having completed the first 3 years of the deal, and he's got $8.954 million is the total value of the deal. So you look at Jalen and everything that he's done, and he's definitely lived up to the contract. He's done a good job in all facets of playing the position. He was a safety as a rookie. He had 5 interceptions. He was one of the best rookies in the NFL. And they felt like moving him closer to the line of scrimmage to his natural nickel spot, which is kind of equivalent to the star, that's what they call it at Baylor. It's a hybrid linebacker slash safety slash DB position. And he's such a hard hitter, forces so many fumbles. You saw last year, especially against the Dallas Cowboys in that Monday night win, the fumble he forced against a big offensive tackle. And of course, Derek Barnett runs back that fumble for a touchdown. So yeah, Jalen is an impactful player. He's good in coverage. He's even better as a run stuffer, and he's a great blitzer. So whatever they really asked him to do, he's excelled at, and he was off to a good start to last season before he tore his pectoral. Caught some friendly fire from Henry To'oTo'o, the linebacker, his teammate, and that ended his season, had surgery. We'll get into the medical stuff, but I want to start off with the contract and some things that he had to say. And you guys have probably seen the video I posted here on the channel from Jalen, so let's go over a little bit kind of where things stand with Jalen and wanting to do a new deal. So we'll see where that goes, but just in terms of his comments, and I'll paraphrase here, I don't want to bore you guys, but yeah, for Jalen, he wants to keep this thing going. So this is home for him. This is where his family is. This is where he first started playing football. Has a lot of memories here. Definitely wants to continue to play for the Houston Texans. He says, this is my city, and I love this city. And as far as the business and any stress, he's focused on his rehab from his chest injury, and he says he knows that the business will take care of itself. He's not worried about it. Okay, that's good. And we'll see where that goes. As far as the value, and that's the thing I wanted to get into, and there's a very large gap between a couple of contracts. Some of it's fresh ink, some of it's not. So Diamador Lenoir plays nickel for the 49ers, and he makes $17.96 million. So he's the highest paid nickel, and he lines up primarily in the slot, but he plays a lot of positions, and so he's the highest paid. And the total value of his deal is $89.8 million. And then there's a large gap between the Lenoir deal to a new deal for Nate Hobbs, formerly of the Las Vegas Raiders, now with the Green Bay Packers, and averages $12 million APY. And it's kind of a short-term deal. The Packers' structures on their deals are kind of year to year in a way. but it's $48 million total is the max value. And then Jordan Lewis, who also plays the slot, he signed, left the Dallas Cowboys, joined the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's under a $30 million deal, averages $10 million a year. And it wouldn't surprise me if, Jalen, if the Texans do finish a deal for him, if they were to do that this offseason, if he fell in somewhere between that range of Jordan Lewis and even possibly a little bit above Nate Hobbs. I'm just not foreseeing like a 3-year, $45 million deal. I think it would help if he was not coming off of an injury, but he's coming off of a torn pectoral, and if he had more interceptions. But he's a unique player, rare skills. The tackling is such a plus. It's so much better than most players that line up at that spot. Very few have the pop, the ability to uncoil and explode through the football and force fumbles. And really, for a smaller nickel, he is compact, tough, and just a hard-hitting dude. And that's why the Texans, are interested in extending this business relationship. And we'll see. Again, I'm not reporting one way or another whether the deal will happen, won't happen. Telling you that there's mutual interest on both sides. We'll see if they can work something out. But definitely one to watch here this offseason. Now they've already done the Derek Stingley Jr. $90 million extension and the Danielle Hunter extension. So he's now due $55.1 million with $54.1 million guaranteed over the next 2 years. So they've been putting down a lot of ink. They've been doing a lot of things. And for a team that supposedly had cap issues, Nick Caserio did a good job of maneuvering the cap. And yes, they can afford to do a Jalen Pitre deal too. And I was at the NFL owners meetings and talking with one of the owners, one of the East Coast teams, and he said, "Hey, you can pay everybody." He says it is BS. He didn't say BS. He said it's bullshit when teams say they can't pay people because they can. There's always a way to pay guys. And so it's just a matter of if you want to and where do you value them. So, wise words, and definitely kind of used it to inform some of my thoughts on free agency, contract extensions, and a lot of things that happen here in the NFL. So that pretty much covers everything I can think of when it comes to the contract. But let's talk a little more about the health. So last year, he's tackling Tyler Boyd, Jalen Pitre, and he really caught the brunt of this collision with Henry To'oTo'o. And they missed having Jalen in the lineup. Surgery was successful. He's on track to do something in the offseason. And when I asked him about his health, because he seems pretty healthy, he said that he's not sure if he's going to be able to do a lot of stuff in spring. He said he's feeling good, and he expects to look forward to the season. And he said everything is positive. He's on track. But, an injury like that with a torn pectoral, it was a partial tear, but they had to repair it with surgery. I would say that I wouldn't expect to necessarily see him out there doing a lot at the OTAs and the minicamp. So that's kind of where it stands. And then one other topic, and it's a popular one for everybody, is the elite nature of this secondary and defense. And when they added C.J. Gardner-Johnson to an already talented secondary, they're loaded with Derek Stingley Jr., Kamari Lassiter, having Kalen Bullock back. They're going to get Jalen Pitre back in the lineup at nickel. Their backups are M.J. Stewart and Jimmy Ward, and now they have C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and he's a 5 to 6 interception guy most seasons, and absolutely instinctive, nasty, tough guy that they've now added. And as Jalen said, they're just adding more dogs, quote, to the room. He's excited. He knows it's going to be fun to go out there, get to know these guys and work together. And it's a strong group collectively and individually with the secondary talent they have, including Jalen Pitre, who's a key piece. He's just kind of a unique player. I have a lot of fun watching him tackle. I am a guy that back in the day played some football, played linebacker, was an invited walk-on at East Carolina University. My position coach was Chuck Pagano. And whenever I see players like Jalen, I've had a chance to cover other players that are hard-hitting DBs like Ed Reed and linebackers like Ray Lewis, and of course here with many DBs, including Kareem Jackson, who's one of the best tackling defensive backs ever. So it's fun to watch those guys do their thing, ply their trade, and bring the ruckus, bring the kitchen sink, bring everything. And with Jalen, just absolutely gets the most out of his frame, and he's an intimidating tackler. And for any people that are look at him as underrated or think they overlook him, I think they're making a mistake, because he is a quality football player, and also great in the community with his work with Kids Meals Incorporated and in the school system. So yeah, always good to catch up with Jalen, one of the more positive guys that have played for the Texans in recent years. So yeah, good luck to Jalen in his recovery and also with his contract. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, that's all I want to cover. Wanted to kind of focus on one player, one situation, because we don't get to talk to these guys that often in the off season. We talked to them plenty during the season, but this was a good opportunity to talk to him, and also, of course, cover what they're doing at the elementary school. And yeah, so good luck to all those kids taking the standardized test, and great to talk to Jalen. I know that he's cheering them on and has a lot of confidence in the young men and women that he got a chance to talk to this week. And so yeah, that was a great event. So I want to turn the table to some other topics in a separate video. Until next time, look forward to our latest conversations, and please subscribe to the channel here at Aaron Wilson Sport. And I'm also on X/Twitter at Aaron Wilson_NFL, and Instagram Aaron Wilson7128. Of course, you can watch me on the airwaves at KPRC2 with Brandy McElboy and Ari Alexander, my colleagues at the television station, and at www.click2houston.com for all the latest Texans news. Thank you.